In the Pits now has a Patreon. Whether you want to get directly involved with the show, have a product or brand you want to promote, or just want to show support, In the Pits Patreon has tiers for all levels. Head to patreon.com/inthepitspaintballpodcast to check out the supporter, sponsor, and partner tiers. Opening up a Patreon was a level I could never have imagined getting to when starting this show a year ago. And whether I get 1,000 subscriptions or not a single one, I'm still super thankful for all of the support I've received from all of you. Enjoy the episode. In the Pits is partnered with Mariachi Águilas de Oro. Based in Austin and servicing the surrounding areas, these golden eagles will bring life to any event you are having, from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, corporate events, or even a simple performance to enjoy. Guillermo Padilla, one of their trumpet players, is also a member of the Texas paintball scene. Visit them on Facebook and Instagram to check out some of their past performances, or give them a call to book them for your event today. In the Pits is partnered with Uno's Jerky. Made right here in the state of Texas by JC Limon, Uno's has some of the best tasting jerky around, and each flavor has ties back to Texas paintball. I personally recommend the Texas Titan flavor. Head to unosjerky.com and use code PITS10, where a portion of every purchase will go back into the Texas paintball scene. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of Paintball Fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, and even Youth 3v3. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous paintball munching contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including first-place semi-pro team PaintballFit.com. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is partnered with Skull Monkeys Paintball. Equip, engage, excel. In the Pits is sponsored by FU Athletics, created with a purpose and focused on building a better you. We are a brand that matters in your workout, and every purchase gives back to cancer research. Go to thefuathletics.com and use code INTHEPITS25 for 25% off of your order. In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Jell Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot now offers first-in-line photo and video editing, 20% off Get Dat Shot merch, and 20% off prints to all teams that wear the Get Dat Shot logo on their jersey. Message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram to become a Get Dat Shot program team. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. Oh, whoops. There we go. Welcome, everybody, to episode 58 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and a new special guest. I'm Christian Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode we are going in the pits with Justis and Jimmy Crenshaw, players for Slow Down, I'm Hungover. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. Having us.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that y'all pretty much just came up in about a month ago now with that y'all playing XTPL and then signing up for this past USXBL. What was it, 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, and you go to the roster and it's just a bunch of Crenshaws. Like every single person on the roster is Crenshaw. So I was like, okay, this is a story that I have to get. So yeah, let's get into it. So this is going to be for both of y'all. So we'll go one at a time. This question is brought to us by XTPL Events. So for those listening that maybe don't know about you both, how long have you been involved in the Texas paintball scene? Let's start with Jimmy.
So I got out for many years, but I grew up in a place called Quail Valley outside of San Angelo, and we used to live out in the country, so we played a ton of woods ball growing up. We used to find like old places to play, railroad tracks, old buildings. One of my favorite times we ever played, we actually have an uncle that has a cabin out on Cisco Lake, and we actually went and played in an abandoned zoo. But for the most part, it was woods ball. And then whenever I was 15, we moved to San Antonio, and I got into playing over at Paintball Nights, and that was the first time I ever saw like speedball. Back then, it was a little rougher, so it was a little harder to get on teams. There wasn't like a ton of tournaments and things to go to as far as events here locally.
Mm-hmm.
So mostly, I played for a couple like little small throw together teams, played a couple small events between a couple of the local teams, but never really played like any tournament style, any actual tournaments until recently when I got back into it. So my uncle though, on the other hand, Jason, he was a big influence on me whenever it came to playing paintball because growing up he played for Dirt Monkeys. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're out of Midland, Odessa area,
Okay.
and they used to play a lot of like what do you call it? The events where it would be like reenacting.
So like scenario
ball?
events. There we go.
Yeah, scenario. Sorry, I couldn't think of that word. But yeah, he played a ton of scenario, and they played a ton of like events and things like that. So, you know, I basically worked 60 hours a week and played paintball on the weekends with what money I had left over. And so it was one of those things that I got out because it was just too expensive.
Mhm.
And recently I got back into it because my brothers all got into it. So, we get to go out on the weekends and play and have fun. And that's what it's all about for me at least. So.
Oh yeah. And I mean, shoot, y'all getting to play with so many family members that's awesome to get. Like, I know I've tried to get my brothers into it and just never really caught on. But yeah, the fact that you're able to play with not just one brother, but three brothers, a cousin, and an uncle, that's something really, really special. So, Jimmy, what I know you said that you hadn't really played any tournaments until getting it back into it recently. But what were some of the teams that you kind of ran around with over the years?
It was so long ago. I don't even remember. To be honest with you. So that was one of the things that we would get together for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then everybody was off doing their own thing, and it's kind of like if you look back at Sasha's time on your podcast, he explained how it was back in the early 2000s. I mean, I started playing wood ball in like the 90s, and whenever I started out at X Factor, it was like the early 2000s. So there's people bouncing around from team to team, trying to get into the tournament scene. And the guys that were real serious about it and had the money to go would go out of town. And, most of us didn't have that luxury. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it was like we would get together and play with a team, and then the guys that were good or that had the money and could afford it would be off playing in Houston at all these events that we couldn't travel to. So it wasn't most of the time. It was just throw together teams and stuff like that, and then they would only last a couple weeks or so. I think the longest I spent on one team was like a little over a month. But that's what I was saying with with Jason, our uncle. He plays for us now. That was one of the cool things for me whenever he came down to play this last event was growing up, he was the only one in the family that shared like a lot of my interest in paintball, including. And so we both played a lot of paintball back in the day, but that was the first time we ever played on the same team in an event. So to me, that was like the best part.
And that's
There's there.
Yeah, that's really cool, especially with your other brothers kind of coming into that age now where they can fully participate too.
Yeah. Well, and so before this, I have a ton of hobbies,
Mhm.
and so I'm always trying to get the boys into like all my hobbies because we do literally everything: scuba diving, skydiving. I got the boys all into airsoft for a while, and then when Jesse became old enough and was looking for a job, I got him a job up at X Factor through an old friend of mine, and then it all started going downhill from there. Then Justice was working there, Jared was working there, and I'll let him tell you his stories from there. But yeah, so that's pretty much how I got into it. It was just something that we always did as kids, but we couldn't really afford to go to like big tournaments and things like that. So we just played for fun. We never took it serious.
Well, I mean, that's part of the great things about the way that the Texas scene is right now, having so many events. Like, it's not just the big events like the NXL or the USXBL or Bunkerfest where you're having to spend several $1,000s and entry and travel fees and all that. Like, there's plenty of local, like smaller things as well that you can participate in and have just as much fun. So Justice, let's head over to you now. So same question to you. So how long have you been involved in the Texas paintball scene?
I'd say probably about 5 or 6 years. I got into it whenever I started reffing. My older brother Jesse, me and him used to play all the time on rec ball. We both shot old Geos and Egos and stuff like that. And probably about maybe my second or third year playing, a bunch of kids on rec ball, because I was the big rec ball ref back then,
Mhm.
wanted to start something, and so I was like, okay. And so I called a few of my buddies that had some connections, and I set them up with a couple different things, sponsorships from Push, um, kind of just a little throw together thing. It didn't last all that long. It was the Rapids team. They all ended up leaving. I know two of them went to IB. One of them went to, I don't even remember who. They just all went all over the place. And then after that, it just kind of became me and my friends screwing around under that name. But that's pretty much where it started. And then obviously Reapers, and then Countdown, and now with my brothers.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, it's still a cool thing that you're able to get here. Now I know that you've been playing quite a few tournaments these last 2 or 3 years now on those different teams. So I'm sure that the rest of your brothers and family members on your team kind of look to you, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. For those watching live, first of all, welcome, Justice and Jimmy. I've got pictures of them instead of cameras. We weren't able to get that working today, so we just got pictures instead, but we're going to continue checking along. So this question is going to be for both of you as well from Skull Monkeys Paintball. I want to hear the story of how you got into paintball in the first place. So let's start with Justice on this one.
Older brother Jesse, he got me a job over at X Factor, and whenever I started reffing, it just kind of made sense that I should play. I don't know if anybody remembers, there was a kid named Turtle that used to be around the field all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Used to mess around with autocockers. He sold me the idea that I should go out and buy an Ego 9 as my first marker. And I did that, and then ever since then, I was like, I spent $300 on this. Why should I stop playing? So that's pretty much how it went.
$100. Remember how much I spent on airsoft guns for y'all?
Yeah.
And airsoft is so much cheaper than paintball.
I
You-
tried hard to get them into it. I mean, I spent like 3 or 4 grand on guns for all of them.
Oh man, that must have been like top of the line. I know airsoft is a lot cheaper, but it's not paintball, not quite.
Well, it was a big initial investment, but you
Mm.
know, they were a little bit younger, and after buying them all good guns, it was like we could go play for like $20 to $40 all day long and just have a blast, you know.
Right.
Then of course they had to go down the paintball rabbit hole, which don't get me wrong, I'm super excited and happy and thrilled to be playing with them. And honestly, I wouldn't be playing if my wife hadn't just graduated. So, you know, she graduated college, so it's freeing up a lot of funds for us to go do these things and play these events and stuff like that.
Well, that's awesome. Good. Congratulations to your wife. Yeah. What did she graduate with?
She's a nurse.
Okay.
She graduated with RN. She's been in school for like the last 4 years. So whenever they were like, they would be, hey, let's go play some paintball. And I'm like, I ain't got the money. Hey, let's go play some paintball. Like, bro, that's expensive. I ain't got the money.
Mhm.
And then finally, it was like, we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. She was getting close to graduating. So we're like, let's go play some paintball. And then they actually suckered me into it because they were like, hey, if you go play this tournament with us, we'll pay for all the paint. We'll pay for your gear. We'll supply you with the gun. You don't got to pay nothing. Just go play the tournament. And finally, I was like,
That's how they get
We
you.
both know. We both know that was a lie. You ended up spending a whole lot more money than anybody else because you were over there. I'm gonna go buy 10 cases now. I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah, I have a bad habit of whenever I get into a hobby, I go all the way into a hobby, so to speak.
Right. Well, we all know what that's like, because the paintball bug is definitely powerful once you get bit. So Jimmy, let's head over to you. I guess tell us like what got you into paintball to begin with.
That was pretty much it. Just go out in the woods and shoot, you know, friends and family and have a good time and blow off some steam and just go have fun, which is all we're about, you know, like that was one of the big things that, you know, like I talk about how expensive it was, but one of the number one things that I didn't like about it in the early 2000s was everybody's ego and everybody was out to prove something. And I'm just like, hey, I just want to go have some fun and play with the boys. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And so, and that's the way we were in the last couple tournaments. Like everybody's out there trying to prove something. We're like, let's crack a cold one, have some fun, play with the boys, and win, lose, or tie. We're just out there to play and you know spend time together and just enjoy it. You know.
I love it. There's so many people out there that they're not quite honest with what they want to get out of paintball, and I think that's probably the best way of putting it. But it's just a lot of fun, and you've got to be having fun when you're doing something like this, especially if you're doing it as like week in and week out, and making these big commitments, because it is a really big commitment. There are plenty of other hobbies out there that require much less investment financially, much less time as far as traveling, much less pain of getting shot, but yeah, there's nothing quite like paintball. So this next question is brought to us by BEMRAPS. Brandon Ortega is in the chat, so shout out to Brandon. You guys got together for XTPL last month as Slow Down I'm Hungover for the first time, and that team exclusively featured members of the Crenshaw family on both the playing roster as well as the staff. So at that first event, you had the 4 brothers. You had Justis, Jimmy, Jesse, and Jared. And then for USXBL, you added Uncle Jason, your cousin Logan, and then Jimmy Roman as well. So for either of you guys, what was it that made you want to start this team?
Actually, it technically wasn't either of us. We were so every Friday we go and we hang out at our parents' house. It's been a tradition for like the longest time ever since Jesse moved out. And so they were all drinking, and out of nowhere Jesse was like, "Man, Justis, you need to quit Countdown City. We're gonna start a team. And I was like, okay, what are we gonna name them? And he was like, originally he came up with a couple different names. We were gonna do a spin off of that one team, Sodally Tober. We didn't do that. Let's see what else was there. There was a few names, but basically Jesse was like out of the blue. He looked at his can. He was like, "Oh, slow down, I'm hungover." And I was like, "Okay, we'll go with that." And so we called Jimmy, and we were like, "Hey, we're gonna pay for this event. You're going. You don't have a choice." And he was like, okay." And so we did, and that's how it got started. Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, it's true. Jesse, he's our slow brother, but every now and then he has a good idea.
I love
And
it.
we
And
we love him to death, and sometimes it's like you look at Jesse and you go, "What the hell is coming out of your mouth?" And then other times it's like, "What you
I was
said
actually kind of
is actually
smart.
smart." And that's how he came up with the name Genius with a J too, because he's not very good at spelling, and so we always used to mess with him. He's like, "I'm a genius," and we were like, "You can't even spell it," and he's like, G, or no J, and so that's where his name Genius with a J came up because he's always saying something weird.
there you go.
So
Yeah.
we all know the weird thing.
Well, first off, that's just a great story of how to come up with a team and come up with a team name. And I was going to bring up kind of the ages of everybody on the team, but after seeing it was coming through a night of drinking, maybe I should hold off on the exact ages. But I do want to point out for everyone, just like yes, Jimmy he is brothers to Justis, Jesse, and Jared. There is a 15-year age gap between Jimmy and Jesse. But yeah, they are, all four of them are brothers, and those four brothers, it was just them for that first XTPL 3-man on, what was it, XTPL Challengers event. So, I mean, shoot, getting to play with one brother is great, but to have a whole team with them, that's awesome. So I guess that also answers the follow-up question I was going to have, which was brought to us by Uno's Jerky, just why the name Slow Down, I'm Hungover.
Yeah, sorry, we kind of jumped ahead there.
No, that's all right. Yeah, and
I wasn't even thinking about the question. I was just like, I mean, that is how it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great answer, and I do want to say, like, so I was in the booth at USXBL, and before every match, you have to type in like kind of the 8-character limit for what you want the team names to be on the scoreboard, and at first Gel was just like, "Hey, we're gonna put Hungover because that's 8 characters," and then I was like, "No, we got to get a better one out there." I was like, "Hey, just put this. I'm hung. That's gonna be a much better one on the scoreboard." And then he was giving me crap for putting that because he thought the sponsors might not like that, and I was like, their team name is Slow Down, I'm Hungover, and they've got two teenagers on the team, or 3 teenagers on the team. So what do you want from me? Like, you got to pick one.
Funny story from that. Our original jerseys were gonna have "I'm hung" on one of the sleeves and then "over" on the other.
that was my contribution. I was sitting there like, if we're gonna do, because we paid, and shout out to Dizana, they did an amazing job with our jerseys, by the way. We paid them to come for a design fee, and then they came back with this design. And granted, they gave us what we wanted. We were like, yeah, nobody's gonna get that. So we started designing our own jerseys, and I was like, you know what? We should put "I'm hung" on the right sleeve and then "over" on the left, and that way, if anybody's standing to our right, all they see is "I'm hung." And so it's funny that you said that because that was actually going to be on our jerseys. But
Sweet.
yeah, they did an amazing job. And Justis, I got to give him a shout out because he actually designed our jersey.
It took me 3 weeks. They kept changing ideas on me. There was like 4 different alcohol brands that we were gonna put on the jerseys, and then we finally decided, you know what? Let's not even put one on there. And so yeah.
And we'll address the whole underage thing. Yeah, they are underage, but let's be honest, none of them are going to college. They're all working for me. We're all electricians, and we do dumb shit on a daily basis. So if that's the worst thing they do, if compared to some of the stuff I did when I was their age, they're actually all real tame and really good boys, and I'm super proud of them. And they don't get in any trouble. They don't cause any, grief for anybody. So
Let me correct it. We don't get caught getting into trouble. That's what matters.
Fair enough, but yeah. So they're all going to be electricians. We're starting a family business soon, and that was one of our things. Is we play together, we work together, we live together. Everything we do is together.
Well, I'm not gonna air y'all's dirty laundry here on stream by any means, but yeah, that's definitely a great story. And Jell, if you're listening, I told you so, sir. You owe me one for the if y'all end up playing the USXBL championships, we need to see that on the scoreboard for the next one. So this next question is for either of you guys, and this is brought to us by Paintball Kumite, which is Colt Roberts' training regimen. So you guys are a fresh squad, new to playing like all together as a team, and some of your squad are also relatively new to playing in general. So do you have anyone out there that's helping you learn the ropes?
Do you
Nope.
want to take this, or you want me to?
I mean, we really just coach each other. We don't we watch a crap ton of paintball and we listen to what other people say. So all of us are self-sufficient at like everything else. So teaching ourselves is kind of just what we do. Like, I don't think any of us have ever been really coached. And granted, we don't do very well, but we're not trying to do well at the same time. We're just trying to be, there to have fun. We're not trying to
We're not going to take it like this.
We're not gonna try and go pro or anything. We're just there to have a good time, so we don't really see the point in paying for a coach and all that and doing all this stuff.
Gotcha.
So that was one of the things, basically to feed off that. We actually had a ton of people come up to us and try to join, try to they're like, oh, you need a D4 player, you need this, you need that, and we were straight up just gonna keep it as family. Just if you're not part of the family, then we weren't gonna have anybody on the team. And I guess a lot of people saw how much fun we're having, and they're like, hey, I want to be a part of that. And so we're actually kicking around the idea of starting a second line for people outside the family that just want to come play with us and have a good time, And we never really thought of a coach or anything like that. We just all try to help each other out and give pointers, be like, hey, look, I got you because of this, or I should probably do this better, and one of the things that we have been trying to do is be out of that mindset that I see a lot of people get into where they're like, oh, I'm a snake player, I'm a D player, I'm a D side player, I'm a home. We try to mix it up because there's not a lot of us, and that was what took us out in this last tournament more than anything, was just the pure exhaustion. And huge shout out to Jimmy. Like, we were not going to add anybody that wasn't in our family. And Jimmy from Countdown, he came up and he's like, "Hey man, I'm really worried about y'all because it's gonna be super hot." And literally, it was a last minute decision to add him to the team just to have somebody to give us a break. And that's the only reason why we made it as far as we did, because there was a couple times where guys were like, "I can't go out. I'm too hot. I'm too tired." And Jimmy stepped in and filled in for those of us that couldn't make it. So yeah, we were mostly trying to keep it in the family, but we're going to start trying to add some people outside the family. But our main line will probably still be just us brothers.
Right. I mean, it definitely was a scorcher at USXBL. I know that firsthand. And we're trying to run, I mean, that would have been 6 of y'all without Jimmy Roman. And 6 is a very thin line when the temperature is triple digits. The turf is like 150, 160. I think someone had the temperature gun out there. Yeah, to do that with just 6 guys is a very tall task. So shout out to Jimmy for hopping on y'all's line. So this question is from Sasha in the chat. He asks, who was the best Crenshaw, not including Tashawn Crenshaw?
I mean, she's definitely, so my daughter's definitely the family favorite. I got a 1-year-old. But as far as on the team, I got to say, every single one of us has some good plays, and we're more competitive with each other more than anybody else. We were watching the commentary. We were like, yeah, we weren't aggressive at all during that last tournament. and it was mainly due to just the heat. Like we weren't trying to push the D, we were just crossing it up, just trying to stay alive and trying to hold our own, so to speak. But um, we were actually messing around and laughing at Sasha because everything they like clearly nobody knows this, and I think the only one that he knows is Justice. And you know where I'm going with this because I already
Yep.
commented about it. But it was Justice is on the D side doing this, Justice is in the snake doing this, Justice that, and I'm like, that was Jared, that was me, that was Jason, that was Justice, and I gotta say, like, as far as one being better than the other, we all have our little moments, and we've all shot each other a ton in practice because when we were practicing for the 3-man, we didn't really have any other 3-mans to run up against. So we were doing 3-on-3s against ourselves most of the time. And I feel like we're more competitive with ourselves than anybody else. Like, if you watch us play other teams, when we're playing each other, we get a lot more aggressive than when we play other people. That's probably one of our downfalls. But um, Jared, he's had so many amazing plays. I don't know if you saw in the 3-man when he ran down, he totally juked out. What was the team? Justice.
Dragoons.
Yeah, he juked out their snake player and drew a minor in the 3-man. So that was pretty awesome.
Threw me for a loop because I didn't realize there was nobody else alive, and I was like, "Where did everybody go? Like nobody was on the field except for me." And I was like, "Okay."
And Justice, I gotta say, he's probably the sneakiest out of all of us. You will not know where he's at on the field most of the time. Like he just has a tendency to pop up when you least expect him. So he makes a lot of good plays. And me and Jesse, we like I'll squeeze
Paint,
my fat butt.
shoot downfield. That's their
Yeah,
specialty.
I'll squeeze my fat butt down Snake if I have to, and I prove that to him. I will climb up Snake, and if I get frustrated, I'll be like, "Hey, I'm taking Snake, and I'm gonna jump in there and shoot somebody." But I love just laying down paint and just trying to keep people tucked for these guys to move up because they're younger than me. Obviously, I'm getting old.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So I don't mind sitting in the back and just laying down as much paint as I can to keep people tucked and just try to give them a chance to squeeze up the field any way possible. So as far as one being the best, I don't think we have a best. I think we all have moments of, hey, we did something right, so to speak. But yeah,
Hey,
no,
I didn't die that round. Let's go.
I survived more than 30 seconds off the break. We're happy with that.
There you go.
Let's go chug a beer.
Love it. So this next question is just for Justice, and it's brought to us by Mariachi Águilas de Oro. So Justice, you are the most experienced player on the roster, having played with all those different teams, Rapids, Reapers, and Countdown City. So do you find that you have like an elevated role on the team, or what role do you have on the team since you are the most experienced?
Book stuff. I do all of the book stuff. I had to message Diana. I sign us up for all the events. That's the only thing. Jimmy, me, Jared, Jesse, we all know our way around the field and stuff like that, so we don't fret too much about that. And like we said before, we don't really have a coach. We kind of just go off of each other and bounce around and try to just get better as a group instead of one individual person being better than the rest of them. So yeah, I've played more events, but most of the events I played were with kids. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I do a lot of the stuff to try and get kids involved. I mean, in the past 2 or 3 years, I've gotten at least 50, 60 kids involved in the sport, which is, exactly what my goal was. Never really done that great, but that was just because I was there to have fun. Everybody's taking this all seriously. Oh, I've been playing longer than you. I'm better. Like, no. We all know that's not true. It's just like, yeah, I'm the most experienced, but I don't hold myself to a higher standard or anything like that because we're all on the same level and we all know we are.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, just having someone, even for the behind the scenes stuff, is huge because learning that it takes a while to kind of get a feel for how to run a team, and even if it's not, I guess, running, but more like just the logistical side of stuff, knowing like who to contact as far as ordering jerseys or negotiating any sponsorship deals or anything like that, or getting like sourcing equipment, getting practices together, like that takes a lot of work. And just
That's
trying.
all.
Go ahead.
That's all Justis. He does an amazing job with that.
Yeah, it's really good to have experience there, because the more that you are comfortable with all that behind the scenes stuff, the more that you can just, whenever you're on the field, you have less that's kind of on your mind, less that's distracting you from what you're actually doing during the point.
Practices are easy enough. They literally just, all right, we're going to the field tomorrow. All right, cool. Okay, go.
I almost forgot. I feel kind of bad now. When you asked if we had help, actually, we had a ton of help, and I got to give a huge shout out to the elite guys out of Odessa.
Mm-hmm.
Their D4 line, they showed up, and they're actually friends of our uncle, Uncle Jason. And literally, we were like dying in the pits, right? And we were just like, all right, let's just make it through this next point. Let's go out here, and we'll hydrate, go out here, and just do our best. Let's just go have some fun. And elite showed up. And they were straight up just jumped in our pits, filling our guns, filling our pods, because we didn't have the energy to. And they were like, I want you to get out there and Jared, you get up to Snake 50 and you do this and then you do this. And they actually helped us a ton. Like those guys straight up saved us during this last event. So I got to give a huge shout out to them. And then it was actually really cool because me and my wife, Carrie, we went out the next day because they didn't have a pit crew.
Mm-hmm.
And they were playing the D4 tournament, and we were like, "Yeah, we'll go out there and help them for a few points. Go fill some pods." And we didn't really know them too well, and they just straight up just helped us. And they were good guys, and they were there to have fun. They were taking it a little more serious than we do, but they were there to have fun, and we enjoyed being around that. And we were like, "Yeah, we'll go out there and we'll stay for a few points, see how they do." And then the next thing you know, we were there literally till 6:30 at night. Filling pods. They went through like 44 cases of paint. I don't think I ever stopped filling pods. And they won the whole damn thing. And that was actually on mine and Carrie's anniversary. And she stuck it out the whole way on our 15-year anniversary. And we watched them win. And just being there with them and trying to help them out and repay the favor that they so graciously gave to us without even asking. They're just a great group of guys, and they really deserved that win on Sunday. So yeah, that was awesome.
Man, if on your 15-year anniversary you spent it pit crewing for elite the whole day, oh man, you must. I hope you took her. I hope you, after that event was over, I hope you found like the fanciest steakhouse in San Antonio just to go straight there.
We went to Saltgrass and we ate some really nice steaks, and I was ready. I was like, "Hey, this is our anniversary. Whenever you're ready to leave, we'll leave." And I turned around, and looked at her, and she's like, "I'm having fun." And so we paid for the whole thing, and we couldn't leave them. They were doing good, and if we had left them, they didn't have anybody to really take over their pits, and they saved us the day before because we didn't have anybody. It was just us, and so we wanted to stay there and help them, and it was just they were so fun to hang around. They were nice, they were kind, they helped us, and so we just wanted to be there to help them, and good thing we stuck around because we might have got our butts kicked at the tournament, but they held their own and they won the whole damn thing. It was pretty cool to be a part of.
Oh yeah,
even though we weren't a part of the team, but we were there to help them in the pitch, and it was pretty awesome to see them win. They deserved it. If anybody deserved it, they did. Great group of guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to Doug. Doug was actually on the podcast the Wednesday before the event. And a lot of good karma heading his way going in there. So shout out to Elite. Definitely deserving of their win. So for this next question, which is brought to us by FU Athletics, go to thefuathletics.com and use code INTHEPITS25 for 25% off of your order. So this question will be for both of y'all. We'll start with Justis here. So Justis, on this new team, Slow Down I'm Hungover, do you have a single favorite moment so far?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Um, Probably just say that first time that we went out to XTPL. Like I had been to events before, um, and most of the time whenever we go to an event, um, it's usually really like tense and stuff.
Mm.
Like we get there and like everybody's got their nerve shot and they're all, getting ready to go slay some people or whatever. But whenever we went there, first thing we did as soon as we got there, just laughing and having a good time, and that was a cool thing for me coming from, you know, running the rapids and having all those people come in there and the kids and stuff, and they were all being real tense. And Reapers, everybody was kind of tense. There was like select few that were kind of having a good time with it, but for the most part, everybody was kind of just on edge before an event. And to see all of us get together and just, not have a care like we weren't about to play an event or we weren't about to get shot a bazillion times. It was just a good thing.
Well, I mean, being surrounded by family members will definitely do that for you. And XCPL is also a great environment. Like that tournament is specifically set up to kind of welcome the newer organizations, newer teams, and just let them have a good experience. So yeah, JD Lukow has definitely created something much needed in Texas paintball with XTPL. So shout out to JD if you're listening. So Jimmy, same question for you. Do you have a favorite moment so far on this new journey with Slowdown I'm Hungover?
I mean, in all honesty, every weekend that I get to go out and play with the boys is amazing. But if I had to pick one moment, I'm gonna have to say when we went to that first 3-man, we had a rough start. My very first game, as soon as I stepped on the field, I got a piece of splatter that was like literally the size of my pinky fingernail,
Mm.
and I got called out. Literally the first game. Second game, uh, I sat out because we were rotating. So each one of us was going to set out the third game, keep fresh bodies on the field. And so the second game I sat out, and then the third game I go in. And as soon as I went to go in, we started having chrono issues. And so I was like, crap, somebody bring me a gun. And they brought me a gun, which I've been out for 15 years. So I'm
He
not
didn't know how to turn it on.
Oh
guns.
man.
I could not get this. I didn't know that. What has he got? He's got the Ether 3, and I didn't know the button was on the side. Every gun I've ever had, the button's been on the back of the handle. So I went on the field with a dead gun, and I looked to my left, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do call outs. So I'm like, okay, we got somebody in the Texas, we got somebody in the D corner, we got some, and I'm sitting here doing call outs, and I'm like, okay, we're good, we got this. I look over, and I'm like, all right, Jared's in. I look to my right, Justis gets hit, starts to walk back. I'm like, crap, okay, I still got Jared. I turn to my left, and as soon as I thought to myself, I still got Jared, I look to my left, and Jared gets shot. So I'm like, damn. I'm like, hey, Justice, drop me your gun. And the ref looks at me, and he's like, can't do that. I'm like, so what do you want me to do? Sit here and wait for them to run me down, And so I'm like, all right, screw it. I'll just sit here, and I'll burn up as much time as I can. And I literally watched them for the whole match trying to figure out where I was. And then I see this guy coming down D side, so I bump over to D, and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. And he took forever. Like he did not know that my gun was out because he was being so cautious. And I'm sitting back there just laughing in my head, like, all right, I'm about to get ran down here. I'm about to get lit up. And so it took forever. He finally runs me down. Literally, there's only 40 seconds left. We would have had to replay the match. So I come off the field, and I'm like, I'm a little frustrated because here we are, 2 down, first tournament over things that should have been avoidable. And so the next game, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go out there and I just want to shoot somebody. I was like, hey, I'm gonna take Snake. So I run and I dive into Snake, and nobody ever shot at me. And I pop up, I take out the first guy, and then I guess we weren't checking our packs because I had an old hit on my pack, so I got called out on that. So now I'm like frustrated. I'm like, all right, let's just go back. We'll drink some beers. We'll just have a good time, whatever. So we start, having fun. I guess we'll say that. Next thing I know, we're like, screw it. We're not expected to win these next games because the first teams that we faced were supposed to be our easier team, and we
Right.
got the Dragoons coming up. Next thing you know, we beat who was it? Texas. I can't remember their name. They
He
were
was Lone Star.
Lone Star. There you go. And those guys were actually pretty cool. And so we beat them. We're like, all right, we can actually, we can win a couple points. And then we're like, okay, well, let's go take on the Dragoons. And I was messing with Jimmy, and I was like, what are you gonna do if we actually beat the Dragoons? Like they're y'all's biggest competition right now. Jimmy from Countdown, by the way.
Mhm.
He's like, I'm gonna be super surprised. And my favorite moment was we were not expected to win that match, and Jared just pulled this juke from that. Like nobody expected it. He goes in the snake. He's sitting on the about the snake 20, and he pops out and he's taking shots back and forth between their snake player, and then he pops inside, shoots the inside bunker. That guy turns, and he goes to run up the inside snake, and then just stops. Jukes left, goes around the outside, shoots the guy in the back. He spins, and as he spins, he draws the miner, taking the other player out. And so we had this amazing juke from him that just caused us to win this match that we didn't think we were going to win. So that was awesome. And then in the process, a lot of people don't know this, but we had a buddy of ours out there playing with a drone,
Mm.
and he was recording Justis. Justis was falling in the background. he 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 finally manages to make it down the field, and then walks into a bunker walking off. And he caught all this on the drone, and I actually had him make like this little short clip out of it, and it was like a little goofy moment of these are Justis's highlights, and he's walking into stuff and falling down and this and that. And so that match right there, just because we had Jared breaking people's ankles here, Justis, he killed it, and he was shooting people, and we won a match that we weren't supposed to win, and we were having fun with the brothers. And so that was our first major win as brothers, even though it was just 1 point. To us, it was still pretty cool, and to go back and have that one little good play that we had, it was pretty awesome for me.
So that's where that clip came from. I remember that clip when it came out.
Oh, he did not expect that, and with the little cartoon animations and the sounds that Brian added, it was hilarious. I had to mess with Justice about it, and
Yeah.
then to go back and be like, yeah, we may have lost, but we took out one of the number one teams, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that clip, and just watching y'all, string together those last two wins, it's actually, not bad. So, yeah, looking and not just not bad, but depending on where you want to go for the future, that could mean really good things. Just being able to build off of moments like that and string them together. So this next question is brought to us by Hydra. So this past weekend, or not this past weekend, but 2 weekends ago was USXBL, where you all competed for the first time in D5 X-Ball. So obviously you told me a little bit about having Elite there with to help y'all at the end with your pits, and just how kind of difficult the heat was, which it was very difficult for everybody. But as far as the experience playing together, tell us about that. And let's start with Justis on this one.
We're all a little bit stupid, so it was a lot of fun. Most other teams, whenever they lose, they kind of, they go in their pits and they get real down. And that's just not how we roll. We went out on that field and we played our game. We came off, and the first thing we did was talk about paintball. Then we're chugging one, and then we're talking about paintball again, and we're going on to the next one. So
Love
it's
it.
a good experience overall.
Jimmy, how about you?
So as far as XTPL, that was a rough week for us. Personally, we lost our uncle that week. So we started off the day with chugging a beer for our uncle, and we were like, hey, we got to go tomorrow for a funeral. And so my uncle was a badass. He was a biker, and he loved family, and he was just a hard worker and a family man. And so we all went out there, and we're just looking to have fun and spend quality time because losing somebody kind of reminds you the whole reason you're there. So um, for us, we were just out there with my uncle, who I've never played paintball with on a speedball field. We've always played, woods and uh, and abandoned buildings and zoos and things. So for us, just playing with the boys and spending that quality family time and just having a good time for us. That was the whole reason we were there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So looking to the future for Slow Down, I'm Hungover. What are the plans? Are y'all going to continue to play together as a team? Are y'all, like, I know Justis has been involved with other teams before. Are y'all going to be continuing to play with other teams as well? Or are you pretty much just focused on playing together as a family and having fun?
Having fun. That's really why we're out there in the first place.
So we're gonna still be out every Sunday and play. There's a lot of people that want to play with us, and we are down to have them. We're still gonna have our main line, like I said, us brothers. We're planning on going to Frostbite whenever we get that, um, and that's the next one that we're looking forward to. Um, and as far as if anybody else wants to go, we'll throw on another line, and they can get jerseys and whatever, and we'll all just go have a good time.
Oh, gotcha. So it's going to be all the way until Frostbite for the next event for y'all then.
Yeah, we're just gonna go out Sundays and play and have a good time. But next season we're planning on, like I said, now with my wife graduating, we got more funds to do these kind of things. So we're planning on playing it next season and seeing how it goes, and just hopefully we do better in this season. But if not, we're still gonna be there having fun and just hanging out and spending time with family. And if other people want to come and join us, like a big one for us is Countdown. We play with those guys a lot. Jimmy's an amazing guy. We love playing against them, and so uh, you know they're probably one of the reasons why it makes it so fun going out on the weekends, because we love playing with us, and we love playing with guys that are just out there to have a good time, like Jimmy and the Countdown boys. They're great people, great friends of ours, and if anybody wants to jump in on Frostbite, they're more than welcome. We'll start up another line. Y'all can run it. But as far as us, we're going to be playing with the boys, brothers, and go from there. We'll see how next season goes.
Very cool. And for anybody listening who's not familiar with what event Frostbite is typically a winter event, either in December or January, put on the league. I believe it's called Star Series. It's put on by Greg Pauly. So yeah, that next event going to be a couple months away for y'all. So for anybody here in the chat, now is probably your last chance to get any questions you want to ask in the chat before we close down the episode. This next question is brought to us by Get Dat Shot. Message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram for media coverage at the upcoming Bunkerfest event or at any of the NXL events. So for either of you guys, are there any Texas-based teams, players, brands, or projects that have caught your attention lately? Who do you think out there in the paintball scene deserves more recognition for what they're doing?
Do you want this?
Jim? No, you, Jimmy.
Honestly,
you not have anyone?
I gotta say you, like you guys that are putting a spotlight on the sport. So in the early 2000s, I mean, paintball was growing so much, and it was still real rough around the edges, and there wasn't a whole lot of structure towards it. You know what I mean? And coming back, one of the things that I gotta say is I'm loving the direction that the sport's going. It's more family oriented. It's more enjoyable for new players, and all around. Most of the people out there, when we get out there on Sundays, are just amazing to be around. But one of the things that I think is helping the sport grow is guys like yourself that are putting a spotlight on it. I mean, if you look at other hobbies and sports, airsoft and scuba and like all these other sports that I'm in, they all have such a big presence on social media and YouTube and all these different platforms. And you guys are doing an awesome job as far as highlighting the sport and showing, hey, look, anybody can come do this. Anybody can come have some fun, get together with some friends or come make some new friends. And watching y'all broadcast it, you know what I mean, online, and we had family members watching, and that was really cool. And y'all were doing a really good job of, kind of giving a breakdown of how everything was going. So if I had to say anybody needs some recognition, it's you guys. Y'all are the ones that are helping grow the sport and helping get new people into it. And it's just awesome what y'all are doing. And as far as like particular brands, I mean, I'm still getting back to it, so I don't know. Not really a whole lot's changed as far as gear wise, except for all the guns are a lot better now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got everybody's rocking either a Planet Eclipse or uh,
Lux.
Lux or a die. I mean, that's the only thing that I say that I miss from the old days is back in the old days with everybody's Frankenstein guns. Sometimes you couldn't tell what the hell they were. Everything had a little more personality back then, and I wish people would bring back custom grips and a little bit more flair to like personalize things.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as highlighting the sport, I mean, everything's become a lot more streamlined. The guns are a lot more efficient and reliable. I mean, I used to have an old 2K2 that I don't know how many damn times that thing broke on me in the mid match, and but as far as highlighting somebody, it's got to be y'all. Y'all did an amazing job. And then y'all were asking for feedback. Like if y'all could throw a couple more cameras up, that would be. Y'all had it going with that stream, and especially with technical difficulties that y'all had with the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all stuck it out and really gave us something special that day. We all went back and watched the stream probably a dozen times. So, to be able to do that nowadays, to be able to, hey, let's go rewatch how we did, and then be like, what the hell were we doing? We're terrible. Well, but it gave us something that we could work on, and so yeah, I got to give y'all the shout out.
Appreciate that. Yeah, that stream, we were very happy to be able to offer that. And yes, the heat was an issue, but we had a team that were working really hard to put that production on for everybody. Yeah, shout out to Ryan Polito, shout out to Robert Jordan, shout out to Sasha and to JC and to Jell Stewart and Colt Roberts, everybody that was on the stream, everybody that was a part of it. Yeah. So Justis, how about you? You got anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
I just gotta say thank you to USXBL for finally putting some other game like other event styles other than 5-man. I know they're under WCPPL, bought them out. And I kind of mentioned it. They did an interview of all the teams at USXBL, and I was like, more beginner events, because the only event we have at X Factor is USXBL 5-man. And it's cool, but it's cool to go to events out of town and stuff, but every now and again, it's nice to have an event right in your backyard that you don't got to spend a whole bunch of money going and getting a hotel. And they put that 3-man on the championship, whatever, and they put a couple other game modes. I don't remember what they were, but it's cool to see them adding on to the solid base that they already had. And broadcasting it, that's a great thing for all sorts of stuff. And so I just wanted to say that USXBL, that new ownership is doing a great job of what they're doing. And I'm hoping that they keep this streak going, because it'd be really nice to see it grow a little bit more in San Antonio, not just the same old USXBL 5-man with the same like 8 teams.
For sure. Yeah. Shout out to USXBL. I know Mike Hinman has brought in a lot of things, like they're bringing in the youth 3v3 is coming back for the championship. I believe that 5-man is coming back as well. Yeah, it's gonna be good. But as far as events at X Factor, I'm not sure if you're aware of the XFPS, but they've been doing 3-man events throughout this season. They actually just had one this past weekend. And that is it. I don't know if there's ever going to be a plan as far as like entire teams going in and playing together. I'm sure that I'm sure that can be arranged, especially for y'all. But they have been doing the XFPS 3-man this year. They just had one this past weekend. They've got one next month at the end of August, and then after that at the end of September. But yeah, go check out XFPS. Sign up for the next one. It should be a good experience, and it's just like a 3-man thing. Just whoever signs up, you get put on a team and you play.
Yeah, we thought about doing that. That seemed pretty cool, but we were still a little beat from the last couple of weeks, so we didn't actually get to participate in that. But the next one that comes up, we're definitely going to check it out. And
That one's a little bit better in the off season when there's not like back-to-back events, because we played the XTPL in Dallas, came back for one practice, then immediately went into USXPL, so we're just a little bit beat.
Right, that's a brutal schedule right there.
Yeah, so, and it was the following weekend, so we're like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to make that one, because we're already 2 events in, and we're beat right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not only that, but with our job, we're electricians. We crawl through attics all week long and sit outside building services in the sun. And I'm not going to lie, before we even started that last tournament, we were all a little tired of the sun. So we're looking forward to Frostbite and having some actually cool weather to play in.
Right.
That's part of the reason why we're skipping the championship, is because we're just want a little bit of a break and then resume it back up whenever we've gotten a little bit more stuff. I know a few of us need some new gear because we thrashed all of our stuff at USXBL. I have a hole the size of my head in my pants right now. You can see it on some of the photos online.
Oh man.
So we just need to recoup just a little bit before the next event.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, definitely don't blame y'all for that. I'm sure that after that big back-to-back that you spent this past weekend just staying inside and drinking beer, ice cold, and just doing anything to stay out of the sun, it's definitely been brutal. So looking at our chat, looks like that does it for this episode. So this final question is brought to us by Compete, which is Jell Stewart's brand. Message him on Facebook or Instagram, mention the show for 10% off of your order of soft goods. So guys, thank you so much for your time. Do y'all have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
Just thanks to everybody that comes and plays with us every weekend. And everybody's been so accepting as far as letting us hop on and play against them. And big shout out to Jimmy and Countdown, because they make our weekends a lot of fun out there. And big shout out to Elite. We wouldn't have made it through the last event without them. Big shout out to you guys, because y'all did such an amazing job. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the next one goes, and how hopefully the cooler weather will give y'all less complications with y'all's cameras and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And just shout out to everybody that's been around and come and drank a beer or hung out, or just had some laughs and just had some good times. Thank everybody, and we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to come on here, and hopefully we'll see you out of the field a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Justis? Any last shout outs?
Play paintball, have fun, don't be weird. It's fun. I don't know.
They're weird.
Love it. All right, y'all. So that does it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to go follow Justis at Soggy Sock Basket on Instagram. What other guests would y'all like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on youtube.com/@inthepitspaintballpodcast. Recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. Quick shout out to my partner and sponsor tier subscribers on Patreon: FE Athletics, Get That Shot, Paintball Kumite, Compete, Bem Raps, Skull Monkeys Paintball, Hydra, XTPL Events, Mariachi Aguilas de Oro, and Uno's Jerky. I will be this weekend. I will be up at Paintball Fit for the Hormesis Joust and Duel. I will be playing both on Saturday and Sunday, so if you are there, come say hi. Otherwise, we will see you guys next week for episode 59, where we will have Jesse Stevens returning to the show. He will be our first return guest. Jesse recently made the move from San Antonio X Factor to join AC Diesel, so we'll catch up with Jesse, see how he's doing. So Justis, Jimmy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.